हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, कैसे हैं आप लोग। नमस्ते विद्याओं, खुश रहो। आज हम पढ़ेंगे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक, दैट इज अलाउंसेस इन सैलरी। So allowances is a fixed monetary amount paid by the employer to the employee over and above basic salary for meeting certain expenses, whether personal or the performance of his duties. These allowances are generally taxable and are to be included in the gross salary unless specific exemption is provided in respect of such allowances. So, थ्री कैटेगरी में हम डिवाइड कर सकते हैं अलाउंसेस को: फुली टैक्सेबल, पार्टली एग्जेम्प्ट और फुली एग्जेम्प्ट कैश अलाउंसेस। तो देखते हैं वन बाई वन क्या क्या है। तो एंटरटेनमेंट अलाउंस: most employers grant entertainment allowance to the employee for entertaining various business relations and clients of the employer. No exemption is available to non-government employees or employees in the private sector, even if the amount may have been actually spent. Okay, now see 5,000 per annum. Government employees are allowed a deduction which is at least the following: 5,000 per annum, 20% of basic salary, and the amount of entertainment allowance actually received. तो इन तीनों में से जो भी कम होगा उसकी डिडक्शन हम ले सकते हैं एंटरटेनमेंट अलाउंस में। ऐसे ही है डीएनएस अलाउंस। डीएनएस allowance is the allowance paid by the employer to employee to meet the increased cost of living. Whole of the DNS allowance is taxable as salary income in the hands of employee, although it is a compensatory allowance against high price. When a part of a DNS allowance is converted into DNS pay, it becomes part of basic salary for the grant of retirement benefits and is assumed to be given under the terms of employment. The next allowance is city compensatory allowance. City compensatory allowance paid to employees posted in big cities compensate to high cost of living like say Delhi, Mumbai, etc. It is fully taxable. Non-practicing allowance. Non-practicing allowance normally paid to compensate professionals like doctors, chartered accountants, engineers, scientists, etc., who are in government service and are banned from doing private practice and fully taxable. Warden or proctor allowances. Warden or proctor allowances paid in education institutions for working as warden of the hostel or as a proctor in institution and fully taxable. Deputation allowance the paid to an employee sent for his department pays of service to some place or institution deputation for a temporary period and is fully taxable. Overtime allowance paid to an employee putting in extra working hours over and above his normal hours of duty. He is given overtime allowance as extra wages is also fully taxable. Fixed medical allowance. Medical allowance is fully taxable even if some expenditure has been actually paid for medical treatment of employee or family. However, reimbursement of medical expenses is exempt up to 15,000. Servant allowance. Servant allowance is paid if paid in cash is fully taxable, whether or not servants has been employed by the employee. Then tiffin and lunch allowance. While cost of lunch provided to employees on their workplace or even redeemable coupons is a tax-free perquisite. Tiffin lunch allowance paid in cash is fully taxable. It is given for lunch to the employees. Some companies have an arrangement with the restaurant for providing lunch to the employees in exchange of coupons issued by them. The CBDT has clarified that value of such coupons will not be taxed provided some conditions are satisfied. Now it's transport and allowances. Any allowance or benefit given to meet the expense wholly and necessarily in the course of employment is fully exempt. Subject to the associate presenting the proof in this regard, CBDT or the part has notified some allowances and the extent. And however, a sum of 800 rupees per month is allowed as an exemption for the taxable transport allowance under Rule 2BB. Okay, now education allowance. Education allowance is given by an employer to employees to meet the education expense of his children. It is taxable in hands of employee. However, under Rule 2BB, a sum of 100 rupees per month per child, subject to maximum of two children. Okay. Additional exemption 300 rupees per month per child. Now, out of station allowance granted to an employee working in a transport system to meet his personal expenses in performance on his duty in the course of running of such transport from one place to another is exempt to 70% of such allowance, which is 6,000 per annum or whichever is less. Foreign allowance, this allowance is usually paid by the government to its employees being Indian citizen posted outside India or rendering services abroad, and it is fully exempt from tax. Allowance to judges, UNO, and other allowances. So these were the allowances which are taxable or partly taxable in India. I hope you have understood all this thing. If you have any type of doubt, you can ask me in comment section or can ask your doubts in live session also. Thank you very much.